Hey, what's up everybody? It's Christian with Reaper Disc, and today I'm out at the Black Bear Disc Golf Course in Southern Ohio, a very tight, technical, wooded track, and I'm on the 7th tee, and today I'm going to take this opportunity to show you guys how to execute the hardest shot in disc golf, the straight shot. So out in front of me, I've got a 280-foot straight tunnel shot from tee to very, very treacherous green. After I get through this tunnel, even though the airspace opens up, I've got very, very tight OB left, as well as a very hard natural OB, a lot of really thick brush and everything immediately to the right. So even though the airspace clears up quite a bit, I'm still going to have to keep the disc straight for the entire flight from the time it releases out of my hand to the time that it lands. Alright, so the reason the straight shot is the hardest shot in the game is because you have to actually execute the shot to perfection from every aspect and every angle. There's no real auto-correcting disc like there is with the hyzer shot, where you just take a overstable enough disc and throw it on hyzer, and no matter really what happens, it's gonna hyzer. Or, you know, in anhyzer, you throw something really flippy and it's gonna turn over. There isn't that autocorrect function of any disc that's just going to come out of any angle and only fly straight. This is going to be solely on you as a thrower to get this right. So I'm going to show you guys a handful of tips on how you can start throwing straighter and lacing up these super tight wooded holes like I'm about to do. All right, so the first big tip is to figure out what kind of straight shot you need. You know, believe it or not, just because you're throwing straight, not all shots are created equal. Every individual need on the course has its own type of throw, and throwing straight is no exception to that rule. So first, you need to diagnose your shot and figure out what kind of straight shot you need to throw. Are you needing to throw the very slow putter shot that's just going to go 100, 150 feet up to the basket? Are you kind of doing a little longer approach with a mid-range? Or is this a drive? Is this something that you're going to need to go down the fairway further? All of these are going to change the way that you throw this shot. So let's get into that. First and foremost, we'll start with the tee shot. So if you're facing a tee shot down a long wooded tunnel like I have here, then you're going to pick out a different disc than say you would an upshot or an approach shot. So let's now get into disc selection. All right, so for the tee shot, I still like to go with something a little slower, probably fairway to control driver speed, and that's what I like to really focus in on as far as what I'm throwing. I feel as though I can control these a little better and be more accurate. Now for this specific distance, I've got about 280 feet from tee to basket. It comes up slightly in elevation, but then slowly starts going down as you've seen in the walkthrough. I also have a very low ceiling to contend with. So I'm going to need to push something straight but low. I'm going to have to deal with a high floor at the beginning, but a very low ceiling the further I get. So I don't have a lot of vertical room to work with, and at most I might have 12 feet of left to right to deal with here as well. And again, once I get down to the green, it's still going to have to land flat and straight because I've got OB on the left and very thick rough on the right. So for this, I'm going to be reaching for a fairway driver, probably the T-Bird 3. This is my personal preference, and I'll get into a couple other choices in a second. I've got two T-Birds here, and I'll show you how to, do this shot with each of these. There's also another way that if you want to really focus on accuracy and a little less on power, you get a disc that's going to glide a little further but is a little more understable. That way you can focus on accuracy and slow down your throw, not throw it as hard, and let the disc flip up and fly straight. For that, I have the Halo Roadrunner. So to execute this shot, you're going to want to really take your time and focus on hitting the initial angle and line. Now I try to imagine that there is a straight line from the tee pad where I'm going to be planting and teeing off from at the end of the pad, all the way to the basket. Now, when I imagine that line, when I'm lining my shot up before I even start my run up, I want to try to keep the disc on that line the entire time. I don't want to really vary or move off of that plane. I want to keep the disc on the plane the entire time. From there, all I have to do is focus on throwing it flat and at the right power, and I already have the disc on line. As long as those all match up, I'll be able to execute the shot. So let me show you how to do that with the T-Bird. All right, so that's how you do it with about a neutral flying fairway. Now, like I said, the other way to do this shot with a driver is to reach for something even more understable, like a Halo Roadrunner. This is gonna allow you to really focus on hitting that perfect line with the right power and letting the disc flip up. This is gonna be especially helpful if you naturally release on a hyzer angle and let the disc flip up and carry flat, like so. All right, so the next way that you can execute this shot, aside from going with a driver, if you prefer to throw a little harder, if you're more accurate throwing closer to full power than what you are toning down and disking up, you can go with the mid-range play. Now, the mid-range play is going to be a little bit different, and this also comes into consideration if you're throwing a shorter shot. For me, about 280, this is where I'm leaning more toward a mid than toning down off of a fairway. So I'm going to be using a fairly neutral mid-range. I've got a couple Star J's and a Splatter Star Mako 3. They're all about equal stability, but they all give that good, nice, neutral, straight flight. The J's will have a little bit more torque resistance, so I'll be able to kind of get on these just a little bit more. But in general, the practice is the same with the mid-range as was the fairway. So you're going to want to throw just a little bit harder with this one, but again, focus on hitting the line and let the disc do the work. All right, and the third kind of straight shot that you might need to pull out on the course is going to be the putter upshot and approach, typically from 150 feet and in. For this shot, I'm still just gonna be throwing from the tee pad, but I'm not aiming to get all the way down to the basket. I'm just gonna try to get this to go as far down this fairway as I can get it to float. So, again, the keyword here is going to be float. You're gonna want to take something slow. My preference is a JK Aviar, but you could also use something really controllable like the Star Polecat. Your goal here is to get it to float in a straight line, kind of nose up, let it glide straight, not really move left to right, and not finish left to right. Imagine like you're playing catch with someone 100 feet out in front of you. You're not going to want to swing a hyzer in on them or try to flex something on them. Just throw it straight like you're throwing right to somebody's chest and playing catch. That's how I like to imagine this, especially when I'm trying to pitch up to a basket through a very tight wooded corridor on the course. That's what I pull out this JK Aviar for. So again, you're going to want to just leave this a little nose up, let it float, but the key to this one is control over everything. You're not looking for power on this specific shot, so you can afford to keep your eye forward and not get the entire full reach back and turn your head away from the target. You're not looking to power this thing 300 feet. So instead, focus on a nice slow run up and slow follow through, very controlled. Again, it's gonna be like playing pass. You're not trying to get this thing way up the fairway. You're just going to try to toss it up whatever tight little tunnel shot you're trying to thread. So let's show you how to do it. It's going to be the same thing with the polecat. I'm using a very wide fan grip here, by the way, and just letting it float. I'm not aiming to get this thing all the way to the basket, just like I'm playing catch. I can't stress that part enough. If you envision yourself playing catch like you're warming up with somebody, then this shot is going to come so naturally easy to you. All right, that's it. There are 3 different ways how to throw the straight shot in disc golf. Which one of these did you like the best, and which one do you think is going to be the most helpful? Leave us a comment down below and let us know. If you want to find this awesome shirt or any of the discs that I was throwing today, check out reaperdiscs.com. You can find them there or in the link in the description below. Again, I'm Christian with Reaper Discs, and I'll see you guys in the next video.